Oh, so I'd like you more.
God, I'm like a child. I worked yesterday on my dental application. I did, unfortunately, but I did it. I said, I did
We will now call the meeting to order. We'll have the city town clerk take the roll.
Here. Present.
Here.
Present.
Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here.
Present.
Here. Present.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Present.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. President.
Alder from Ward 15 has joined us. A quorum has been established. We'll now have the line items for order from Ward 13.
You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to talk about the powerful connection between unity and leadership. These two concepts are not just essential in our personal lives, but also in communities and organizations. Unity is the foundation upon which effective leadership is built. When a leader fosters an environment of unity, they create a sense of belonging amongst their team. This belonging is crucial. It encourages collaboration, innovation, and resilience. When individuals feel united, they are more likely to share their ideas, take risks, and support one another. Consider the great leaders in history. They didn't just command, they inspired. They brought together transcending differences in backgrounds, beliefs, or opinions. Think of Nelson Mandela, who unified a divided nation with a vision of reconciliation. His leadership was inclusive space where everyone felt valued. Leadership also requires humility. A true leader understands that they are a part of a larger whole. They listen actively, valuing the perspectives of others. This openness nurtures unity. As a team member, as team members feel their voices matter. In such an atmosphere, challenges are faced collectively and victories are celebrated together. However, unity doesn't mean uniformity. A leader must embrace diversity, recognizing that differing viewpoints enrich their decision-making process. When diverse voices come together, they create a more robust and innovative approach to problem solving. It's the blend of unity and diversity that propels organizations forward. In conclusion, effective leadership thrives on unity. By fostering an all-inclusive environment, building trust, and valuing diverse perspective, leaders can inspire their teams to achieve great things together. Let's all strive to be leaders who unify, empower, and uplift those around us. Thank you.
Would everybody please turn off your cell phones, put it on vibrate, please, so we can conduct the meeting? Mr. Majority Leader.
Good afternoon, Madam President, and good evening. I move approval of the Journal of the May 18th, 2026 Board of Alders meeting.
Second.
The item has moved in second. Discussion. Are there any corrections to the journal? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item passed. And before I go back to the Majority Leader, I would like to acknowledge that Order from Ward 16 has joined us. Good evening, all, and thank everyone for coming. Before we get started, just a reminder for colleagues, please remember that our budget has to balance. Any amendments must balance out. So if you add $1 somewhere, it must be taken from someplace else. The same would be true if you were proposing cuts. You would have to adjust the mill rate when we discuss that in order to make the mill rate accurately reflect the expense side of the budget. Any amendment that increases or decreases a line requires 16 votes. Any attempts to decrease the tax rate requires 16 votes. Any amendments that raise the mill rate require 20 votes. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you once again, Madam President. I move finance favorable. A, order of the New Haven Board of Alders accepting voluntary payments from Yale University in a manner consistent with a letter from Maury D. Hinnis, President of Yale University, dated March 6, 2026.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion. I call on order from Ward 25.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. This order authorizes the city to accept voluntary payments from Yale University of more than $5 million more per year above current levels, and totaling $232 million over 7 years. This agreement also continues the arrangement whereby Yale makes payments to mitigate losses in tax revenues for properties in the city that the university may acquire and convert to exempt status. In the agreement, Yale commits to explore housing development opportunities on Yale land and to provide additional financial and technical support to community nonprofit organizations. The parties also agreed to work together on potential pedestrianization of certain city streets. The Finance Committee heard this agreement on May 14th. Many members of the public spoke and urged Yale to make even more substantial contributions to the city's budget. During deliberation, committee members also called on the university to contribute more to the city of New Haven, where so much of the most valuable real property is exempt from taxation due to the presence of Yale University. As chair, my reading of the room was that the city should approve this 7-year agreement, but that efforts to encourage Yale to do even more should continue. In the end, the Finance Committee voted to forward this item to the full board with a favorable recommendation. Are your colleagues to vote yes on this item? Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? I call on order from Ward 27.
Thank you, Madam President. I support giving this agreement a favorable recommendation. I support passing this agreement. The agreement represents meaningful progress and reflects Yale's important role in New Haven as a regional, economic, educational, medical, and cultural center. At the same time, it is important to recognize that this agreement does not fully resolve the structural financial imbalance created by Yale's large tax-exempt footprint and the significant municipal responsibilities borne by the city of New Haven and its taxpayers. While this agreement is a meaningful step forward, I also believe there remains additional room for growth in the partnership between Yale and the city as we continue working towards a more balanced, long-term relationship that better addresses the fiscal realities faced by New Haven residents and taxpayers. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? I'll call on order for Ward 22.
Thank you, Madam President. I stand in agreement with this matter. This is definitely a step in the right direction. With Yale University being a part of New Haven, we are all one family, and we have to help them. Yale has given voluntary payments over the years. This voluntary payment gives just a little bit more. And the one thing that I do like about this particular agreement is the fact that we have 7 years. So after about 5 years, we can really start a real conversation about a real agreement, a real sustainable agreement. Because the reality is, expenses continue to go up in the city of New Haven. Our Board of Ed needs more. Everyone needs more. But we have to work together to make sure that those needs are met. And so I ask this board to stand in agreement with accepting these funds, because even though more can be done, what we are getting will help us a little bit further. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passes majority.
Thank you, Madam President. I move finance favorable item B, appropriating ordinance number 1 and ordinance making appropriations for operating city of New Haven departments for the fiscal year July 1, 2026 through June 30, 2027.
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Discussion, I call on order for Ward 20.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I address the budget item before us, let me first recognize the many people who contributed to the budget process over these past 3 months. The Finance Committee held 3 public hearings, and I thank the New Haven residents who came from their busy lives to make their voices heard. Many community members offered comments that are now part of the record and have helped inform the decisions that the committee members made. The Finance Committee held numerous workshops since March 1st, and we listened to city staff explain their budget proposals. I thank them for answering our questions, and I look forward to following up with them on matters that will require ongoing dialogue and discussion over the next fiscal year. I especially recognize Shannon McHugh, Director of the Office of Policy Management and Grants, and her Deputy Ron Kizzy for their hard work and responsiveness to our queries. I thank my colleagues on the Finance Committee for their good attendance and keen attention during the 3-month budget process. And they are Alder Sal Thompson, Vice Chair, Alder Jeanette Morrison, Alder Taisha Walker-Myers, Alder Yvette Hamilton, Alder Anna Festa, Alder Richard Furlow, Alder Honda Smith, Alder Leland Moore, Alder Evelyn Rodriguez, Alder Brian Wingate. I also thank those colleagues not on the Finance Committee who attended our meetings. I hope they benefited from observing our proceedings. Finally, I thank our Legislative Services staff for their help. I call special attention to Don Hayden, our fiscal analyst, and Alder Lucas, Director of the Office of Legislative Services, for their dedicated support. Now, I shall proceed with the items before us. Appropriating ordinance number 1 contains the city's operating budget from pension payments and post-employment benefits to office supplies and computer repairs. This ordinance funds city departments and enables them to provide services to residents. The Finance Committee approved 3 amendments that made changes to the mayor's proposed budget. The first was recommended by the administration. It included a set of technical corrections, which usually happens at this point in the process. Below is a list of those changes. A, corporation council salaries increased by $39,236. B, community resilience miscellaneous expense reduced by $1 million. C, community service administration miscellaneous expenses increased by $1 million. D, chief administrative office salaries increased by $20,144. E, purchasing salaries increased by $81,110. F, library salaries decreased by $4,164. G, parks salaries increased by $33,074. H, police salaries decreased by $141,096. I, public works salaries increased by $45,250. J, economic development salaries increased by $85,530. K, federal rent salaries increased by $46,775. L, federal rent part-time decreased by $55,620. M, general fund revenue interest income increased by $150,239. The second amendment incorporated significant additional funding not previously accounted for. $22,072,740 from the state of Connecticut and $4,945,000 from Yale University. I believe I speak for all my colleagues when I thank our wonderful delegation in Hartford for delivering this additional budgetary support. The Finance Committee mostly agreed with how the administration suggested these additional funds be appropriated. These requested changes are listed below. A, increased Board of Education budget by $13,900,000. B, increased general fund balance amount assigned to educational use by $2 million to be used to address anticipated deficit in fiscal year 2025-26. C, allocate $1,957,149 in additional state aid and $4,945,000 in additional funds from Yale to be used to reduce the proposed mill rate increase. D, allocate $350,000 for the Coordinated Food Action Network, CFAN. E, allocate $250,000 for rolling stock. D, allocate $250,000 for fire hydrants. E, increase medical insurance appropriation by $983,197. F, increase liability insurance appropriation by $983,000 and $983,197. G, allocate $400,000 for digitization initiatives. F, no, G, H, appropriate $250,000 for the Strong School project. I, allocate $499,197 for facilities maintenance and repairs. J, allocate $350,000 for duties at work. The Finance Committee made a few changes to that list. The most important change involved the Board of Education. Instead of allocating $13.9 million more to the budget for the public schools, the committee voted to allocate $7.9 million more to the education budget and to send $6 million to the general fund balance to be assigned for educational use. This decision is significant. It still commits nearly $14 million more support for our public schools, but it raises the minimum support that must be provided next year by only $7.9 million. This action sends the Board of Education a strong signal about this body's insistence on stronger fiscal management of our New Haven public schools. The other changes made to the administration's suggestions are below. Reduce rolling stock increase from $250,000 to $125,000. And use of $125,000 in savings to increase medical insurance by $75,000 to $1,058,197. And liability insurance by $50,000 to $1,033,197. B, reduce facility maintenance and repair by $49,197 to $450,000. And allocate the $49,197 in savings to the Resource Allocation Committee. I thank everyone for their patience. Just a little bit more to say. The third amendment deals with new positions in the mayor's proposed budget. The changes are below. A, reduce the number of new personnel positions requested from 15 to 7 for a savings of $691,771. Reduce the 10 new police officer / lateral positions back to $1 each for a savings of $949,260. C, add a new police captain position for $130,675. D, add $50,000 for the Grand Avenue Special Services District. E, add $51,600 for the Q House teen programming expansion. F, add $51,006 for the Q House equipment, supplies, and materials. G, add $75,000 for Haven's Harvest. H, use the remaining $1,282,750 of savings to further reduce the mill rate increase. These three amendments make numerous changes that result in a general fund budget for fiscal year 2026-27 of $744,291,420 and tax rates of 39.962 mils on real and personal property and 32.46 mils on motor vehicles. Again, I thank colleagues and everyone here this evening for their patience in listening to these many changes. I urge colleagues to approve appropriating ordinance number 1 as amended by the Finance Committee to fund city operations for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none. This is a ordinance, appropriating ordinance. We'll have the city town clerk take the roll. I'm sorry. Ward, I call on order from Ward 13. Wait. Okay, I call on order from Ward 9.
Thank you, Madam President. I will be voting no on this item. I'm deeply concerned that our city has received over the last 2 years historic increases in pilot, ARPA, Yale, and this year a $23 million additional windfall from the state. And we're using it to patch over a structural deficit in our schools and to fund ongoing programs that should not have been built on one-time federal dollars, all while raising taxes for residents 1 year before reevaluation. Immediately after last year's difficult budget vote, I worked with colleagues to request a Board of Education workshop to push for a transparent line item Board of Education budget and an official budget transparency working group for our schools. Because we knew without them, we'd be back here again, and we are. The story of this budget is the predictable result of tough decisions deferred. Our residents deserve better. They deserve a genuine long-term financial plan for our city, one that honestly accounts for what the city costs to run, what we can sustain, and what structural reforms we've been avoiding for far too long. Thank you to the Finance Committee for your hard efforts, and thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 13.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not sure if now after she said I'm out of sequence, but I move to amend appropriating ordinance number 1 to make the following changes. Add Deputy Director of the Office of Climate and Sustainability at an annual cost of $80,000 to expenditure. Number 2, reduce the central utilities line 1143150 electricity by 80,000 from 396,680 to 316,680. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment to the mayor's proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 budget. Thank you.
I mean,
Second.
the amendment has been made in second discussion on amendment only. I call on order from Ward 13.
The role of Deputy Director of the Office of Climate and Sustainability is a key driver in our efforts to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and advance the Board of Alders commitment, which was voted on unanimously in 2019, to dedicate 0.1% of our budget to address the climate emergency. A primary focus of this position is a series of 9 major solar projects, 3 of which have been completed and 6 of which are in development. Once all of these projects are complete within the next 2 years, we expect them to produce $350,000 in recurring annual revenue, most of which is not yet accounted for in the budget. These are complex projects which do not implement themselves, and we need this role in order to bring them to fruition. In addition to the solar projects, the Deputy Director role is also instrumental in managing $15 million in active state, federal, and utility grants with complex reporting requirements, facilitating home efficiency enhancements in residents' homes, electrifying the city's fleet, and improving the energy efficiency of city buildings. Of the anticipated recurring annual revenue that will come online within the next couple of years, next year there will be at least $60,000 in utility savings from contracted power purchase agreements, which is not already in the budget as revenue. In addition, some portion of the additional $210,000 in anticipated lease revenue will come online during the year, at least 20,000 or more, thus bringing the total energy savings from these projects to at least $80,000 next year. It is appropriate to cover these expenditures with a reduction in utilities, given the expected savings in utilities costs as a direct result of retaining this role. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment only? I call on order from Ward 1.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in strong support of this amendment to fund the Deputy Director position for OCS. I understand how tight the budget is, and I recognize that this office and position was created with ARPA funding. Moving them into the general fund may not have been part of the city's original plan, but it is the right and necessary decision right now. This office cannot effectively function with only 1 staff member. The Deputy Director helped oversee more than $34 million in awarded grants, many of which lower energy costs for both residents and the city itself. In 2019, this body unanimously committed to addressing the climate emergency and advancing the city's sustainability goals. Fully funding this office is how we honor that commitment. While we should and can continue pursuing grants and outside funding to support this work and this position, we cannot depend on temporary or uncertain funding sources forever. If we believe this work is essential, and I do, then we need to place this position in the general fund. Doing so provides our Deputy Director and the department the stability it needs to fully do this crucial work. Our Deputy Director is doing fantastic work and deserves job security. We need to give job security if we want to keep good people in New Haven. When resources are limited, it is easy to focus on what might appear to be the most immediate and visible needs: housing, schools, public safety, and infrastructure. Those priorities are critical, but we cannot afford to cut the long-term investments that shape the future health, resilience, and financial stability of our city. Climate sustainability is not optional, it is foundational. I feel confident that 25, 50, or 100 years from now, as our city and globe continue to warm, We will be glad for the investments we made in climate and sustainability, and funding this deputy director position is the crucial investment we must make right now in this budget season. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 27.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in opposition to this amendment. I want to be clear that my position should not be interpreted as opposition to the Climate and Sustainability Office or opposition to the work being done by that office. The question before us is not whether this work has value. The question is where and how this position should be funded at this moment in time. We are operating during a period of significant fiscal strains and long-term financial uncertainty. As a board, we have repeatedly stated that we must exercise discipline with respect to expanding the general fund, particularly when it comes to positions that were initially supported through ARPA or other temporary funding mechanisms. This position is already funded through the end of the year or the end of this calendar year. And because of that, I believe that it is more fiscally responsible for us to approach this in a way to direct the administration to continue pursuing grant funding, special funding, or, if need be, a transfer mechanism to sustain the position through the next fiscal cycle while we evaluate the city's long-term financial position. My concern is not with the merit of this position itself. My concern is permanently growing baseline government expenditures during a period where we are actively discussing structural budget pressures, tax burdens, and long-term financial stability. I believe this is something we can revisit during next year's budget process with a clearer understanding of the city's fiscal condition and the long-term funding strategy for that position. I want to also state that if there was a saving of $80,000 and the position being requested for $80,000, that's not a saving, that's a wash. And so those numbers don't pan out. We've already had one opposition to this budget already, which I would say means that we are voting, that vote is for a 40.17% mill rate rather than the 39.96 that we're proposing. But at any rate, Madam President, we just can't support this at this time. When are we going to say enough with expanding government? I ask colleagues to join me before we go on this item. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 22.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I stand in opposition of this amendment at this time. As stated, my opposition is not an opposition of the need for the service. As a board, we have, as stated by our finance chair, we have shown a commitment to climate control. We have shown that by taking an ARPA position, which we basically promised we would not do, and we took the director and made that a general fund position. And so, as indicated, this position goes until the end of the year. The department, the city, will be able to look for grants and other funding to be able to fund this position until the end of the fiscal year. And then next year, maybe, as indicated, that this position will bring in all this money, they will have time to be able to show all this money that they have brought in from this particular position. And then, when it's time to look at this again and look at putting this person into the general fund, then we really have some stuff that we can speak to. But right now, as we are trying to help everyone, everybody needs more money. Every situation, every department, everything we do here in the city needs more money. And so we're trying to split the baby here by making sure that we give a little bit to everybody. And that's what we've done with climate. We have given the director a permanent position in our general funds. That says New Haven cares about climate. But right now, we can't do everything. The mayor asked for 25 positions. He gave them 8. We can't do everything, but we're trying to do enough to make sure that we sustain as a city, that we continue to function. This is a city of close to 140,000 people, as someone's indicated. And that's a lot of services. That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of services. And we just don't have enough money to do everything. So I ask my colleagues to please stand in opposition of this particular motion at this time, and then we will have another opportunity to look at this. So thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order for Ward 26.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President. I rise in strong support of this amendment, and I just want to say that climate change is an existential crisis. I do take very seriously the need not to expand the budget, take very seriously the burden on taxpayers of taxes, particularly in very difficult times for households in the city. I greatly appreciate all the hard work of the colleagues in the Finance Committee, but I do note that many things that are priorities for us, such as youth, community support, food support, were added to the budget, were added to the general budget, and to this I just need to say enough is enough of us not properly funding environmental protection, climate change. I think that 2 positions is absolutely necessary in the general budget, particularly in these very difficult times with the current federal government cutting and slashing environmental rules, environmental laws, and frankly not caring about the environment one bit. Again, I say we're in an existential crisis when it comes to climate change, and I think the 2 positions are absolutely necessary in the general fund. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? I call on order for Ward 4.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I stand in opposition of this amendment. And the reason why I stand in opposition is because we have about 48% or 50% of jobs in the city of New Haven specially funded. And special funds is very critical and very important, just as our general funds. But we work diligently and carefully regarding general funds because these positions are taxed. Where special funds, we work very hard to bring all the grants and the funding that we should be receiving, the city should be receiving. And we did discuss ARPA funds, and we approved all the positions that were funded. Many wonderful initiatives came out of that ARPA funds during our crisis of COVID, our pandemic. The department heads were made aware that they may not become positions moved into general funds, and for them to explore monies that would be collected to sustain positions that became so significant, such as our climate sustainable department. And although this matter was discussed and agreed upon, the Board of Alders, we agreed based on testimonials given here and throughout all of our finance meetings, and we worked deliberately to look at and agree on that the executive director position would be a position that we could look at and consider to become general funds because of the significance of this area that we desperately need to work on and consider. And contingent upon the work of this office regarding grants received and production of those grants and their benefits to our communities, the position is being considered in general funds. So that then we will review it, we can consider it. We have finance meetings every month here. We have workshops that we will look at that office again. Should we need more jobs and more positions in general funds and the monies are there, then it's something that we can further look at in the near future. But looking at everything in the budget, the general budget, and what we need to maintain this city working and operating with its essentials, the Finance Committee did the best that it could and it deliberated based on the input of the 30 alders here in one way or another, and the public hearings that we had, where the public had a chance to come and speak out on every single department in this city. Let us not forget how diligently we worked hard to keep our oath in this process, where we would leave this place, this chambers, at 10:30, 11 o'clock in additional meetings to see. Let us not forget the relationships that we must endure upon, and that we need for them to consciously come to the table and be fair in their work with us, which I am going to mention. One of them is Yale University. It does need to come forward. It needs to do more with us. We do a lot with them. They can do a lot with us. And we will all win-win in this great city of New Haven, where we're doing a lot of great work with the few monies that come into this city. Thank you. Please help us build our cubbies, because we have a lot of work to do, and every single alder here is working very hard and smart to make things happen in this ward, in each of their wards, and a city, because we're one of 30. Every single alder here that I spoke to regarding finance, they were working very hard to represent their constituent base and the residents of this city. We don't want the mill rate increase anymore. It's hurting our pockets, it's hurting our homes, the roof over our heads. We have a lot of work to do, yes we do, but I think we've done great work considering what we have before us. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the amendment? Oh, roll call, roll it up.
Theodore?
Yes.
Douglas?
No.
Albert?
No.
Rodriguez?
No.
Singh?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
No.
Kim?
Yes.
Martinelli?
No.
Smith?
No.
Vesta?
Yes.
Murphy?
No.
Morant?
No.
Melendez?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Vidensi?
Yes.
Patel?
No.
Monzo?
No.
Moore?
No.
Edwards?
No.
Black?
No.
Streeter?
No.
Morrison?
No.
Myers?
No.
Hamilton?
No.
Marshall?
No.
Marks?
Yes.
Earl?
No.
Hogan?
No.
Wingate?
No.
Is there anyone who hasn't voted wishing to vote? Is there anyone who has voted wishing to change your vote? Seeing none, the amendment fails. We're back to the item as amended. Is there any further discussion? I call on order from Ward 10.
Thank you. I'll be glad. Thank you, Madam President. There was an amendment going around. I was just looking for the number to put into it and finally got it. So I am making a motion to amend appropriating ordinance number 1 regarding the mill rate for fiscal year 26-27.
Second.
The amendment has been made and second discussion on the amendment only. I call on order from Ward 10.
Thank you again, Madam President. I would like to provide the $4.699357 million to fill the 0.56 mill rate gap to keep the current 39.4 mil by taking that amount from the Board of Education fund balance line item. This still leaves the board of that line item for the Board of Ed with over $1.3 million in that balance fund. You know, we all get emotional during this time, and I think my emotions showed the night of our deliberations. But you know, as a board, we are the fiscal body. We are the ones that
are responsible and to provide fair process, which is really complicated. You know, compromises are constantly being made, and I think this budget reflects them. But the residents of this city also deserve a little breathing room regarding taxes. This is not to undermine the importance of education, but to support the very residents who send their children to our New Haven public schools. If we continue to raise taxes, we will lose these families to other towns or even states. If we continue to raise taxes, our residents who are on fixed incomes will not be able to afford rents or taxes and expenses if they own their home. And some of these residents have been in their homes for a very long time. I mean, I know residents who have been in their homes for 60, 70 years. God bless them. The cost of living has already been a challenge for many of our residents. How much more challenging do we want to make it for them? We have an opportunity, thanks to the state delegation that gave us funding for this purpose, to keep the mill rate status quo. Funding this large doesn't always come our way, so let's use some of it to maintain the mill rate at 39.4 and give our residents a little bit of a breather. That's all we're doing. I mean, 0.56 out of a $733 million budget. The ask is for $4.699357 million for maintaining the status quo mill rate at 39.4. When you think about it, it's almost like a drop in the bucket. And I know how hard we all work, and I appreciate the work of everyone. And I'll have more to say later, but I'm pretty passionate about this, as you can tell, because I just believe that our residents deserve just a little bit of a breather this one time. Taxes have gone up every single year, and they all deserve a break. And yes, this is another compromise I'm asking this board to make. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion on the amendment? I call on order from Ward 27.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I stand in opposition to this. This is probably one of the toughest things that I had to do. I spoke in great detail with my colleague, and we've gone through trying to find this money, but we cannot decrease our New Haven public school budget. We just cannot do it. They have come before us repeatedly, talking about the lack, what they need, and even with the money that we are getting, we are just barely giving them what they need, and this is going to catch up to us at the end. We're all struggling. I'm deciding not to pay what not to pay. Rents are going up, those that are renting, mortgages will go up because of taxes. This is extremely difficult, but we can't, so as a steal from Paul to pay Peter, I wish that we can find a different way to do this, but this is not the way to do it. And I just want to say that we can't vote to increase government and then say, let's lower the taxes. It doesn't make sense. So we either want to lower the taxes and decrease government, or it just doesn't make sense. So I'm asking colleagues to, unfortunately, vote no on this. We just can't do it this way. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 22.
Thank you, Madam President. I stand in opposition of this matter. I'm a homeowner too. And so when taxes go up, I'm affected just as well as anybody in the city of New Haven. But we have a responsibility to our kids. We have to take care of our kids. The budget is large. We knew last year that we would be here this year, because last year we were there. So there's a problem in the funding from the state as far as ongoing support for education. And so, yes, give a reprieve to all of us as homeowners, as renters, And if we did get a reprieve this year, but then next year, our taxes will have to double. I'd rather pay an extra $100 right now than be put in a position to have to pay $300 because I got a break this year. Ease me into it. And so I do not support this. It's very hard, and I know I'm gonna have to work a lot to be able to pay this bill. But we have to think about our children. If we do not invest in our future and in our children, then who else is gonna invest in them? How else do we prepare them to be ready to go to college, to be able to take on these roles and make sure that our city continues to run? And so, although, again, it would be awesome if we could get a reprieve, but the reality is, it's gonna just come back to bite us again next year, and the year after, and the year after, until things are regulated as far as the Board of Ed is concerned. So I am in opposition of this item, and I hope the rest of the board joins me in that. Thank you.
I will now call on order from Ward 7.
Thank you, President Walker, my years. I would like to ask my colleagues to support this amendment. I have also attended many finance workshops and meetings and hearings, and really appreciate the dedication that everyone on the finance committee puts into this. And I also appreciate Alders speaking on behalf of the many residents that I have heard from personally in my ward and around the city who do not want to have their taxes raised. I do not wish it to come out of the public school budget at all, but I applaud Alder Festa for trying, for attempting and speaking on behalf of residents that would not like a tax increase. So for that reason, I would like to support the amendment. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Roll call.
Roll it out.
Theodore?
No.
Douglas?
No.
Hubbard?
No.
Rodriguez?
No.
Singh?
No.
Rodriguez?
No.
Kim?
Yes.
Martinelli?
No.
Smith?
No.
Vesta?
Yes.
Rickett?
No.
Morant?
No.
Melendez?
Yes.
Lillard?
No.
Denti?
Yes.
Patel?
No.
Punzo?
No.
Moore?
No.
Edwards?
No.
Nyblack?
No.
Peter?
No.
Morrison?
No.
Walker Myers?
No.
Hamilton?
No.
Marshall?
No.
Marks?
No.
Philip?
No.
Hogan?
No.
Wingate?
No.
Smith?
Is there anyone who hasn't voted wishing to vote? Is there anyone who has voted wishing to change their vote? Seeing none, the amendment fails. We are now back to the regular item. Further discussion. I call on order for Ward 18.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of the amended budget favorably recommended by the Finance Committee, and I want to thank my colleagues on the Finance Committee, city officials, and stakeholders for their hard work on this budget. I also want to thank our legislative delegation for the critical funding that we've received. As we've seen tonight, this budget reflects compromise. It reflects tough decisions by people who deeply care for this city. It reflects countless hours hearing from city officials and stakeholders about services for which New Haveners have a real need. Importantly, it reflects a decision to fight to reduce mill rate increases as much as possible without compromising vital city services. I urge your support for this amended budget. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? I call on order for Ward 22.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I stand in support of this budget. I specifically wanted to point out the fact that in the various amendments, there was $350,000 added for youth at work. With the ARPA funds, we were able to do a lot of things in the city. We were, as far as the children were concerned, we were able to employ over 800 children through youth at work, through the youth at work process, through the funds that were there. Because the ARPA funds are gone, we will now only be able to employ less than half of that number. And a lot of these young people who work, their families depend on this money. They depend on these young people being able to purchase their own things for school and things of that sort. By adding this extra 350,000 allows us to get closer to that 800 number. It at least puts us in the 600 realm, where we have more children that will be employed. And I also wanted to point out the fact that in funding the elderly services position, that will now allow the Hill neighborhood to finally get a senior center. We have 3 senior centers in this city. It covers Dixbow, East Shore, and Fairhaven. But we have nothing in the Hill. But this position is going to allow us to have a senior center in the Hill neighborhood. And we have to remember, people are living a lot longer. And so we need the services, we need the supports. So I just wanted to point out those various elements that are going to help and support our residents. Again, as I said earlier, we're trying to help everybody. We're trying to get everybody just a little to be able to do just a little bit more. And so again, I support this budget. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I call on order from Ward 27.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, Madam President, Madam Chair. I also stand to support this budget as amended. This amendment results in a $745 million grant fund budget. And we did reduce the mill rate. The mill rate is over $1 bill less than what was proposed by the mayor. And we also significantly increased what we give to the New Haven Public Schools, which is an important topic for this board. And so I ask colleagues to support this. It's not where we want it to be, is it? We were hoping for the ability to be able to stabilize this, but given where we are financially and all the strengths we have, I think this is just where we are. And so I ask colleagues to support this. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. I call on order from Ward 7.
Thank you, President Walker Myers, Majority Leader Furlow, and colleagues. I have served as Alder for Ward 7 for just 2.5 months now. But from the day I was sworn in, I have said the same thing, that I'm here to advocate for my residents. And to be honest with this body, this is not the budget that my residents want. They don't want a tax increase at a moment when rent, groceries, childcare, you name it, has already become so much harder to afford. And the reevaluation looming next year, I worry for many of us. And this is even with the extra funding that we've gotten from our state delegation and the Yale voluntary contribution. And my residents have said that they want accountability and transparency. And I want to offer up their voices. But I understand that Ward 7 is part of the whole. When I took an oath, I swore to act in the best interest of the entire city. And what is good for the city is, in the end, good for good people of Ward 7. This budget does a lot of good with services that our community desperately needs and more. It responds to pressures that have been building for years, if not decades, and it reflects a city that takes care of its own. We will help people who need it. We are New Haven. But also, I think it's not good enough, not for the city that we all love. We need transformational change in New Haven. We can't keep on going on like this. Patching holes in the dam. We can't keep on kicking the can down the road. We are running out of time with our fiscal health, the trust of our community, the future of our children. We need to break this log jam before the dam breaks. And we don't know when it is. How this will happen, I just started, so I don't really know. But I am willing to work with everyone in this room, with everyone across the city, to really try to find a vision and a place of transformation that our city and its residents deserve, even if that means really hard choices coming up. But all these standards, as we all know, is not enough. It's not enough, Madam President. So today, with real reservations, and because I prefer this amended budget to the proposed budget of the administration, I will vote yes. Yes, because there are people in the city who cannot wait, and this budget will help them, like immediately, or when the fiscal year starts, sorry. This is not an endorsement of the path we are on, and as someone who believes that we can do better, we have to, and I intend to keep on saying so. So I hope to work with the rest of the Board of Alders. Please excuse my naivete, as I've just started in this, and I'm still full of hope and eagerness. But I do want much better for our city, as I know everyone in this room does. I've been amazed at the amount of time, energy, love that every single one in this room puts forward beyond the Alders, beyond that. It is amazing that you show up. There are plenty of people who have complained, and when asked, they don't show up, right? And so I do want to acknowledge that, and do ask the rest of our city to show up for what you care about, right? These Alders are here because they care and they show up, and so I just ask that for the rest of the city, and with that, I rest. Thank you.
Is it, I will now call over the forward Senator.
Thank you, Madam President. As much as I'm disappointed that my amendment was turned down, I am still going to support this budget because it is better than the one that was proposed to us back in March. I do want to begin by thanking Chair Marchand. It's not easy being Chair of Finance, and I appreciate all the hard work that goes behind the scenes in making this evening happen. I want to thank my colleagues on the Finance Committee. Oh my God, I don't think I'd get emotional. The Budget and Management Director and their staff, the departments that were patient during the long hours, and of course the residents that came out to testify. Thank you. I'm happy to do it. It was long hours. It was many sleepless nights. It was phone calls for various reasons to each other. How about this? How about that? How do we lower? What are those exact numbers? I think we were dreaming numbers at night, which is not something I enjoy. This process is a heavy weight on our shoulders, and I don't think it's one that residents really understand. It's an emotional roller coaster, and it's sometimes tearful for what we want, what is best for our residents. I love this city. It's my home, born and raised here, raised my kids here. I want them to stay here. Not that it's my choice, but that's what I wish and pray for. Each new election year, you know, this board meets with the state delegation to discuss our priorities, which includes education, pilot funding, aid to cover certain expenses for various services, and that was no different this year. We met back in January with the state delegation, as we do, and we have in the past, and you could say we lobby them for those asks. We want them to provide the funding that we so desperately need in the city. And, you know, we try to satisfy all these needs of the city. And I have to say, they came through for us this year. I want to thank Senator Looney and our New Haven delegation, which I believe are the best up in Hartford in the entire state. They came through for us this year with $22 million. And because of that, it kind of forces even Yale to give funding to us. I wish it were more, but it's a shared effort. And, and one would think that a purpose would be to also lower the taxes with that money, just a little bit, but we did do that. And this budget reflects it in the sense that we did lower the mill rate, and not keep it status quo, but it is lower than what the mayor had proposed back in March. This budget is full of compromises, which is why I'm supporting it. Our residents deserve an affordable city that is safe and provides the necessary services to keep it running. I wish we could have done more. This process is a difficult one, and one that keeps us up at night wondering when more cuts could be made without it affecting services. And I think we succeeded to a degree. What I've learned in this position is that we're not going to please everyone. We have to be able to sleep at night. And I think a lot of the initiatives that are on this budget also reflect God's missions. And I think about my Catholic upbringing of the corporal works of mercy, which is to feed the hungry, which we are through CFAN and Haven's Artists, to take care of our elderly and our youth, and this budget reflects that. To take care of our residents, maybe not to the point we'd like it to, but it does help them in the sense that we're not raising the taxes as much as they could have been risen. So I encourage my colleagues to support the overall budget. It wasn't an easy process, as you well know, Madam President, and you're part of the committee. And I hope, that moving forward, we continue to make the right decisions that is right for our city, for our residents, and for our children. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is appropriate ordinance. We will have the city council clerk take the roll.
Gaylord,
Yes.
Douglas,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Martinelli,
Yes.
Smith,
No.
Costa,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Durant,
Yes.
Leland,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Patel, yes, Enzo,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Lightfoot,
Yes.
Reader,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Walker Myers,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Marshawn,
Yes.
Marsh,
Yes.
Burlow,
Yes.
Hogan,
Yes.
Wingate,
Yes.
Smith.
Is there anyone who has more wishing to vote? Is there anyone who has more wishing to change their vote? Seeing none, item passes. Ms. Whitaker.
Thank you, Madam President. Where were we? I move item finance favorable C, appropriate ordinance number 2, ordinance making tax levy and revenue assumptions for the fiscal year July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027.
Second.
The item has been moved in second discussion. I call on order from Ward 25.
Thank you, Madam President. The tax levy and revenue appropriating ordinance is the principal local means available to the city to pay for the expenditures in appropriating ordinance number 1. As amended by the Finance Committee and approved just now by this body, the general fund budget for fiscal year 2026-27 will be $744,291,420. Accounting for all other revenue sources, this new budget relies on municipal tax rates of 39.962 mils on real and personal property and 32.46 mils on motor vehicles. These mill rates will balance the revenue with the expenditures already approved. The Finance Committee approved this tax levy and revenue appropriating ordinance as presented, and I ask colleagues to approve it as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is appropriate ordinance, we will have a citizen clerk take the roll.
Yes. Douglas?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Singh? Yes. Rodriguez? Kim?
Yes.
Martinelli? Smith?
Yes.
Vesta?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Morant?
Yes.
Melinda?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Videnski? Michelle?
Yes.
Punzo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Nyblack?
Yes.
Streeter?
Yes.
Morrison?
Yes.
Walker Meyer?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Marshon?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Furlong?
Yes.
Hogan?
Yes.
Wingate?
Yes.
Smith?
Is there anyone who hasn't voted wishing to vote? Is there anybody who voted wishing to change their vote? Seeing none. Item pass, consent vote.
Thank you, Madam President. I move item D, appropriate ordinance number 3, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds fiscal year 2026 through 2027.
Second.
The item has been moved in second discussion. I call on order from Ward 25.
Thank you, Madam President. Appropriating ordinance number 3 contains the city's capital budget, which proposes no new borrowing for this coming fiscal year. The ordinance authorizes the mayor to refinance portions of our city's debt to take advantage of opportunities to find lower interest rates and reduce the city liabilities. This may happen according to established procedures. The Finance Committee voted to recommend approval of appropriating ordinance number 3, and I urge colleagues to vote yes on the motion to approve. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. This is the ordinance. We'll have the citizen clerk take the roll.
Theodore?
Yes.
Douglas?
Yay.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Rodriguez? Kim?
Yes.
Martinelli? Smith?
Yes.
Vesta?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Morant?
Yes.
Melinda?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Videnski? Michelle?
Yes.
Punzo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Nyblack?
Yes.
Streeter?
Yes.
Yes.
Walker Myers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Marshon?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Furlong?
Yes.
Hogan?
Yes.
Wingate?
Yes.
Smith?
Is there anyone who hasn't voted wishing to vote? Is there anyone who has voted willing to change your vote? Seeing none, the motion passes majority.
Thank you, Madam President. I move item E, appropriate ordinance number 4, an ordinance authorizing issuance of general obligation tax anticipation notes and/or general obligation grant anticipation notes fiscal year 2027.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion, I call on order from Ward 17.
Thank you, Madam President. This appropriating ordinance enables the city to engage in short-term borrowing to make funds available to support city operations without having to rely on exactly when income revenues arrive. This body has approved this ordinance every year in recent memory, and the city usually does not need to issue these bonds, but this remains a prudent action to take. The Finance Committee voted to give this item a favorable recommendation, and I ask my colleagues to vote to approve. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is the appropriated ordinance. We'll have the citizen clerk take the roll.
Theodore?
Yes.
Douglas?
Yes.
Hubbard?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Martinelli?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vesta?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Morant?
Yes.
Melinda?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Videnski?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Punzo?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Nyblack?
Yes.
Streeter?
Yes.
Morrison?
Yes.
Walker Myers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Marshon?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
Furlong?
Yes.
Hogan?
Yes.
Wingate,
Yes.
Smith.
Is there anyone who would wish to vote? Is there anyone who would wish to change their vote? Seeing none, the item passes majority leader.
Thank you, Madam President. I move item F, ordinance amendment number 5 to section 17-201 of the General Code of Ordinances authorizing additions and changes in permits, licenses, and user fees for the fiscal year 2026 through 2027.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion, I call on order from Ward 17.
Thank you, Madam President. Just prior to deliberations, the administration requested several new or amended fees in addition to the changes in the mayor's proposed budget. They are below. A, new item from the Health Department, vital statistics. One-time cost waivers of New Haven residents' long-term birth certificate for prison reentry New Haven residents, unhoused New Haven residents, and newborn New Haven residents. These waivers are to be issued by the Community Service Administration. 2, new death certificate, short form, at $20 each. 3, new charge for plastic sleeve for copies of vital records at $2 each. B, amended charges for Elm City resident cards. 1, adult new, renew, increased by $5 to $15. 2, new child, renew, increased by $5 to $10. 3, new fee waiver for unhoused resident and prison reentry resident. C, add new traffic and parking, towing and storage fees, booting fees at $55 each. The Finance Committee voted to recommend approval of this ordinance amendment, including the charges listed above. I ask my colleagues to vote to approve these items. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is an ordinance amendment. We'll have a sit-down clerk take over.
Theodore,
Yes.
Douglas,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Singh. Yes. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Martinelli,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Moran. Yes. Melendez,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Vizetti,
Yes.
Sal,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Nyblack,
Yes.
Streeter,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Walker Myers,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
Sirlo,
Yes.
Hogan,
Yes.
Wingate,
Yes.
Smith.
Is there anyone who have voted wishing to vote? Is there anyone who have voted wishing to change their vote? Seeing none, the item passes majority.
Thank you, Madam President. I move item G, order of the New Haven Board of Alders reallocating $2,900,000 and 0 cents from previously approved American Rescue Plan projects for the purpose of supplementing funding for general fund fiscal year 2026 to 2027, budget line item reimbursement.
Second.
The item has been moved in second. Discussion, I call on order from Ward 17.
Thank you, Madam President. This order reallocates American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, funding that was previously approved by this body. In essence, these reallocations take monies from projects not on track to spend down allocated amounts and moves those funds to projects that are on track to spend down allocated funding. The goal, of course, is to spend all the ARPA funds received by the deadline deadline date in the second quarter of the next fiscal year. The Finance Committee voted to recommend approval of this request, and I urge my colleagues to approve this order. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The item passes majority.
Thank you, Madam President. I move items H through O. H, order of the New Haven Board of Alders, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the 2026 to 27 Memorial Golf Course Enterprise Fund budget. I, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the 2026 to 27 Walter Skating Rink Enterprise Fund budget. J, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the 2026 to 27 East Rock Park Communications Tower Enterprise Fund budget. K, order of the New Haven Board of Alders approving the 2026 through 27 Lighthouse Park Carousel Enterprise Fund budget. L, order of the New Haven Board of Alders imposing a levy as a municipal tax levy in the Chapel West Special Services District fiscal year 2026 through 2027. And order of the New Haven Board of Alders imposing a levy as a municipal tax levy in the Grand Avenue Special Services District fiscal year 2026 through 2027. And order of the New Haven Board of Alders imposing a levy as a municipal tax levy in the Town Green Special Services District fiscal year 2026 through 2027. And O, order of the New Haven Board of Alders imposing a levy as a municipal tax levy in the Willie Avenue Special Services District fiscal year 2026 through 2027.
Second.
Items have been moved in second discussion. I call on order from Ward 17.
Thank you, Madam President. The Finance Committee heard presentations from the individuals involved in the management of the enterprise funds and special service districts. And the committee approved the orders presented with one change. The committee voted to amend the budget for the Grand Avenue Special Service District to include $50,000 of funding from the city of New Haven. The Finance Committee voted to recommend approval of these orders as amended, and I ask my colleagues to vote yes on the motion to approve them. Thank you, Madam President.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Ayes have it. And I guess before a motion to adjourn is appropriate, I will be going to personal privilege on the special budget meeting. Are there any points of personal privilege? I call on order from Ward 2.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask everyone to rise. In the silence for the 11th President of New Haven. I call him the media man because when anything happens in New Haven, I would get it in either text or email from Bob McCormick. I'm going to miss him a whole lot. I know a lot of people in New Haven will. Bob was a social media man for New Haven. Once ran a radio program at WYBC and WNEC. I'm going to miss him. Please give us a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
I call on order from Ward 22.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to remind everyone that June, the first Sunday in June this year is June 7th, would be the Freddie Fixer Parade down Dixwell Avenue. And so make sure that you come out. This is the 62nd year of the Freddie Fixer Parade. It is a very, very important parade to our community in the Dixwell-Newhallville areas. And we just want you to come out and have a good time. The parade will start at 1 o'clock, but Alders will meet at the corner of Bassett and Dixwell. So please bring your sashes and be prepared to walk up Dixwell. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
I will now call on order from Ward 29.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you all the members for doing that for our beloved Bob. But I would be remiss if I don't give my grandson a birthday shout out today. He turned 9. I just want to say happy birthday to Shamir Kennard Woods. Happy birthday.
I call on order from Ward 19.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to ask you all if you would do us the honor of volunteering. If you have not already volunteered, please contact myself or Director Lucas. What I need you all to do for me, if you are available, is our Committee on Student Elections are having their elections. So if you're able to help us by picking up ballots, we have one of our alders already volunteer, a couple of them, Alder Redenti. Please let us know if you're able to volunteer. We'll give you more details. It's a great time. It's a great event. We get our elected student official that sits on the board of ed, and that's why we're doing this. And they do it like a real election. We just need someone to volunteer, if you have time, to pick up the ballots. They're sealed, and bring them here, and we will tally and get the vote out, and everybody will know who the winner is. So come and join us. It's a party. And it is this week. I would like to have you contact Mr. Lucas. We did announce it previously as well and at our committee meetings. So we'll talk offline if you need more information, but let us know if you're able to do so, please. Thank you.
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor? Slow down. Like y'all waited all this time. It's coming. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. We are adjourned.
Oh, but you know what? I mean, it's easy. It's gonna be so simple and easy. It's like really, you got it. No justice, no peace.
You're gonna go build the house.
You know, like those, where's the roof at? The small contract, they have to be on a small contract. That means they're like.
I can't not. Hi, how y'all doing?
Just so I can know, so that way if we need something from my work, if somebody get on a small contract.
I'll call you in a minute and tell you.